Greetings. So I graduated tech school, and that was a lot of fun. Did a lot of running, did a lot of exploring, but just wasn't fitting in there. Um, uh, I found a way through just hard work, concentration. Um, well, not hard work, just perseverance. Um, Overcoming obstacles that were difficult for me in the math. Uh, Believe it or not, soldering. I was a terrible solderer because I was so worried about getting burned all the time. I don't know where that came from. But I made it to my first duty station, which was Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana. My uncle drove me there and dropped me off, and I was stunned because when I exited Keesler in Mississippi, the guy who was the airman who was who was in charge of getting people where they wanted to go, he was like, "Hey man, you've been kind to me, good dude." He's like, "I'll make sure you get your first pick on your orders." And my dumb ass saw uh, uh, Barksdale Air Force Base, LA. And I thought this was Los Angeles. Not a big geography buff there. And I was so stoked when I got my orders because I was going to California, the West Coast. This is gonna be beautiful. This is gonna be everything I wanted it to be. And it was the first thing on my list. I was so excited. And then I realized, wait a minute, that's Louisiana. LA stands for Louisiana, not Los Angeles. And I'm an idiot. The most ironic thing was when I played basketball for Stetson University, we would travel there every year to play Centenary in Southeast Louisiana. And they were some of the worst road trips we've ever had because we had to bus there. And I remember going across Lake Pontchartrain for the first time, and I thought to myself, again, not being a big geography buff, wow, they built a bridge over the Gulf of Mexico. Not really realizing there was a 3-foot deep lake that spanned for miles. This thing was massive. And I was like, man, no, we would go there. I'd never leave the hotel room because it was so, I'll put it the most polite and PC way I can, different. Shreveport Bossier was a land caught in the late 50s and never progressed out of that. Now it's the late 90s, early 2000, and it's still there. And it showed their infrastructure, education system, corruption, everything centered around oil and the casinos, the gambling boats, which was hilarious because you couldn't gamble on the physical land in Louisiana, so you had to set the boats up, these barges, these gigantic barges on the Red River, and you could go on and gamble there, which I thought was hilarious because it was just a simple, I'm walking from this piece of land into the river and on a barge, and that barge will never move again. But hey, whatever. Same thing in Mississippi, and it didn't make any sense. I was like, why not ratify that in your bylaws? But hey, if that's what makes it appeasing to you. So I get there, I bed down, and I'm introduced to, you have like a 2-week in-doc where you're just getting all your paperwork in. They introduce you to your shop, a shop being the place you're going to work, and you're getting acclimated to the base, where everything is from clothing to the dining hall to med unit to gas, the dorms, everything you have to get briefed on. They take through this gigantic tour day after day. A lot of useful information because you're going to use all of it. And then, I went out to my shop for the first day, and I'll never forget the most racist thing that someone has ever said to me was said by another black man when I walked into the shop for the first time. He says, he looked at me, he's like, "Dear God, you would have made a great breeding slave." And I'm like, oh, that is, I've heard a lot of things, but never something like that. But that was my initial introduction into the Maine Air Force right there. And you learn you're out with a bunch of males, a bunch of testosterone-driven alpha males. And we were in a tactical communications unit, so that's who we were. All right, cool, no problem. I heard a lot, but I hadn't heard that. But it didn't hurt my feelings. Keep it rolling. So we we get acclimated to the base. Have a roommate. He branches off into the bomb wing there, and I'm in the 8th Air Force. And the bomb wing is supported all the B-52s, a bunch of buffs, gigantic 8-engine planes from Vietnam era. But they keep updating that they're the workhorse of the Air Force. They're amazing vehicles because they don't, a normal aircraft will lift up and the nose will come up, lifting the front landing gear. The Buff does not. It just rises up. All 4 wheels come off the ground simultaneously. I said it right that time. And then it proceeds on. So I thought that was so interesting to watch, but the engine noise is insane because it's this high-pitched whine, and there's 8 of them. There's also an A-10 base, A-10 reservist unit, so A-10 Warthog unit. My second favorite plane to the SR-71, Blackbird. And theirs is another higher-pitched whine. But I got so accustomed to hearing that whine, especially living on the base, day in, day out, all night long. I'll never forget the nights when they would be doing engine work and things like that, and none of the engines were going. It was so eerily quiet. It messed everything up. I was like, oh, because you get so accustomed to it. Little things like that made life so interesting on the base. I fell right back in love with PT. Love PT. Hated the run, and I got super. It was an us and them mentality. We called them because the base was divided. Huge nuclear depot. So we were on the west side of the base, and the 8th Air Force headquarters on the east side of the base. So we called them the East Side Crystal Palace Dwellers. And we were the West Side Knuckle Draggers because we were out there in the boondocks. Literally deer were out there hanging out at my shop in the middle of nowhere. We had big 5 tons, forklifts, AK forklifts, and I would get certified on all of it. And I love driving it. I love manipulating the heavy equipment so we could get our comm equipment on. I fell in love with the physicality of all the stuff that we had to do, preparing all the stuff, tents, moving the stuff, convoying. I loved the grit and the dirt of it all, then setting it up and getting it to work. I thought was fun. I thought, Luke, you're fine. I thought it was amazing. Just really, really enjoyed the camaraderie and building stuff like that. And once I got into a groove with my buddies, hi Luke, hello. Once I got in a groove with my buddies, I felt like we could do everything. We could do everything. Okay, all right, good boy. So this is Luke.